Hello, I'm Oskar Sherlief and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. 400 people can soon lose their jobs as Первомай mechanical plant in East Kazakhstan is on the verge of being shut down. Workers blame ATF Bank for that problem as it previously issued a credit to the company and now requires an immediate repayment. On Wednesday, the plant's employees picketed ATF offices in Almaty and Ust-Kamenogorsk.
Representatives of Первомай mechanical plant from East Kazakhstan traveled 1,000 kilometers to hold a picket in front of ATF Bank's head office in Almaty. There they were joined by the sympathetic activists of the movement Kazakhstan 2012 and also by several police units who arrived at the scene just in case. Plant workers brought a petition to the bankers demanding the company to fulfill the obligations of the lending framework agreement. We have used all available methods already. Workers can no longer tolerate this whole situation, seeing that our administration cannot do anything, because even the Supreme Court decision is not being followed, and ATF Bank simply does not answer our written appeals. Several years ago, Первомай mechanical plant, which employs 400 people, opened a credit line in ATF Bank. The company purchased equipment it needed and regularly paid interest, but then the bank had unexpectedly terminated the agreement. Now workers suspect that financiers are planning to take over the plant. On February 8th, the company received a notice from the bank of its intent to auction off the troubled property. Even one trial against ATF does not help the situation. The bank's top managers who talked to the picketers on Wednesday did not shatter the fears of the letter.
We can only tell you that this is a part of banking secrecy and the information can only be shared with the company involved in the process.
The rally has lasted for about half an hour, but even before the bank's administration managed to accept the petition, the police arrested several public activists, including Ainur Kurmanov. Picketers left after handing over the document and listening to the ATF Bank director, while the detained activists were let go an hour later. They say the policeman even apologized, acknowledging that the detention was in fact a mistake.
Picketers near the Ust-Kamenogorsk offices of ATF Bank were met by police forces, which didn't allow the disgruntled workers of the Первомай plant to demonstrate the bankers their posters.
Only the initiative group was allowed to enter. Plant workers also sent their appeals to the governor of East Kazakhstan and to mayor of Ust-Kamenogorsk, asking them to intervene and help the company. The management of Selenk Limited Liability Company, the main shareholder of Первомай mechanical plant, also made known its position in Ust-Kamenogorsk through the association director Boris Pak, who is confident that the leadership of ATF Bank purposefully protracts the situation. The businessman believes the bank wants to appropriate the plant by any means, legal or not. The plant's management appeals to various authorities to solve the issue, but officials choose to simply observe the developing situation. We don't demand additional aid from the state. It just has to make sure that laws are working equally for everyone, including banks. What is there more important than a court decision?
The appeal to Masimov Sr. to return money to real estate investors started the hearing in the District Court of Astana on February 24th. This unusual trial involves the father of the country's Prime Minister Kazhimkhan Masimov, who is attempting to defend his honor and dignity and also claim $70,000 for damages in the process.
Prime Minister's father did not show up for the hearing, being currently on a business trip. Instead, two of his representatives defended Masimov's interests. The trial began with Judge Maya Galiyeva asking both parties whether they want to settle the dispute peacefully. Human rights activist Talas Sagimbayev obviously had no such plans, saying that the process initiated by Kazhimkhan Masimov will only benefit conned real estate investors. The publicity generated by the press should force the Prime Minister's father to return them $1.5 million. The plaintiff's representative is of another opinion.
A legal entity, the director who accepted the money, should cover the debt, but not Kazhimkhan Masimov. He's the founder, and the founder is not responsible for agents. The agent who accepted money by proxy should be responsible.
Kuat Dalabayev accused Talas Sagimbayev for executing someone's order. He, however, did not specify the commissioner's name, saying only that all those who attempted to sully the name of Kazhimkhan Masimov, including media that published human rights activist statement, will be a responsibility in the court. Talas Sagimbayev, in his turn, filed a counterclaim against Masimov. The hearing lasted for an hour and a half. The next one is planned for Friday, February 26th.
This last trial might seem minor compared to the supposedly embezzled amounts mentioned in the so-called case of statisticians. Find out about new unexpected charges from the next report.
Businessman Serik Turjanov is charged with failing 2 major space projects for Kazakhstan. The damage to the state is estimated at about $4.5 million. On Wednesday, the court began the interrogation of witnesses who revealed that all space program decisions are approved by the government.
All state programs are approved by the President, but each of them includes an action plan for the implementation, and this plan is approved by government.
The prosecution claims that Turjanov, while being the chair of national company Kazkosmos, failed the project aimed at the creation of the rocket and space complex Ashim. The issue is the contract with the Moscow Heat Engineering Institute, which had to complete the experimental design stage, but without the rights to share rocket technologies with third parties. This, according to the prosecution, led to the failure of the project, all due to Turjanov's fault. His lawyer Venera Nurgaliyeva, however, disagrees and said that her client was simply following orders.
As the
chairman of Kazkosmos, Turjanov had no authority to develop intergovernmental agreements that resulted in failed projects. Interestingly, Serik Turjanov is also charged with the embezzlement of nearly $1 million of budget assets. According to investigators, the defendant bought a stake in the Valut Transit Bank, which later declared bankruptcy.
For already 2 months, there is no information about the investigation of the murder of the famous Kyrgyz journalist Gennady Pavlyuk committed in Kazakhstan. Investigators and prosecutors, both Kazakh and Kyrgyz, remain mostly silent, only repeatedly noting that the investigative activities are still being carried out.
Kazakh police is not sharing data with the murder case of Bishkek journalist Gennady Pavlyuk with their Kyrgyz colleagues. A representative of the Kyrgyz prosecutor's office, Talanbek Kozhonov, informed reporters in Almaty that they have very little information concerning the murder.
The investigative team visited Bishkek together with representatives of the investigative authorities of Kyrgyzstan to collect information about the crime.
The interstate investigative team has worked in the capital of Kyrgyzstan for over a month. At the same time, Kazakh security officials have promised to announce their new findings back in January. However, a month has passed and the internal affairs officials are still silent.
This is due to the fact that the investigation is still pending. As I promised, we will provide you with all the necessary details and names after the end of the investigation.
Police is also not saying anything about motives, of which there are at least 3. According to one of them, the death of Pavlyuk has nothing to do with politics. Human rights activist Dmitry Orlov agrees with this opinion. He said that the journalist did not criticize the government in his latest works.
There is such a thing as a multiple turn combination, and likewise this case might be multi-layered. To be honest, it is better for Bakiyev right now to maintain stability, as the situation within the country is not the best.
Orlov, however, says that it is possible that the authorities do not want an unbiased investigation either. In this context, the silence of Kazakh security officials creates a totally different view.